You're listening to Turn Your
Heart. So technically we've known each other for, what, 2 years now?
Something like that, yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it because of the pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
Right.
Really.
So you were being my brother's tattoo artist.
Yes.
And I had just started a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And so I came in filming my brother getting a tattoo.
Yep.
And we kind of just vibed, like just being in there because you're an artist. Mm-hmm. And I was like in this creative space of trying to film and learning the camera and learning how to use it and things like that. And I don't know.
Which was really cool when you were coming in like that because I wanted to be engaged. And then that's when I was like telling you about like, let's put the tattoo machine in the cup and like get the shot of the ink dispersing, which I thought was kind of cool.
No, it was. And then also like, and I think I'm remembering this correctly, but like on the back of your door, you had like a bunch of different work, like different pieces. And my brother was like, you got to get a shot of that because it's like amazing, you know?
Yeah.
So we're kind of going back and forth and feeding off of each other. And then that was it, you know? And then what was it? Like a month ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
That I was at the gym.
Yeah.
And I was in a class. And did you see me when I was in the class or not?
I did. I was like, I know that girl. I was like, I tattooed her brother.
Yeah.
And I was telling my buddy John that I was with, and I was like, cool. And we didn't think anything of it. And then we went to another machine.
Yep.
And then you came out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey. And then you're like, Mike? And I'm like, nope.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I
couldn't
even remember your name.
It's okay. But I was like, nope, the other side of the alphabet. And you're like, what? And you're like, David. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, you said the beginning of the alphabet.
Right.
I remember.
Right.
So when I was in that class, I don't know, we turned around a lot in that class because that was a step class, and I saw you. And like part of my journey that like you didn't know about, obviously, was that I was breaking that like, you know, when you see somebody in the grocery store and you're like, oh my God.
Or even like you're like, I think I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Yes.
I don't want to say anything to them.
Exactly. So you just kind of dip and dodge. Well, I wanted to like break out of those habits, you know, because I think everybody needs to have connection, and like you may be the only person they talk to that day, you know, and it's good for you to like break out of your,
for sure,
whatever you want to call it.
Well, and like that's it too, is like I feel like in today's society people are scared to like confront and converse with people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're real quick to text behind their phone or like send a message, but it's just like you lose that authenticity that like I feel like we've learned from our parents and our grandparents before, where they used to like go and knock on their friends' doors to come out and play and like write each other letters and like just more interactive and rather than like
organic.
You know what I mean?
Organic conversation. I knew when I saw you, I was like, I'm going to make it a point to build myself to say hi. You know what I mean? And just organically say hi. And so I lost you guys because you moved to the other machine. And I was like, all right, maybe next time. And then as soon as I walked out the door, you guys were there. Like you were in a machine that I couldn't see. And I was like, hey.
Yeah, you couldn't avoid it. We were right there.
Yeah. No, it was like perfect. Yeah. I could have, in my head, I was probably like, oh my God, I lost him. Too bad.
Yeah, and the universe was like, nope. Here you go.
You wanted to say hi, right?
Yeah.
I'll make you say hi. Right, yes. Exactly. And so we were just like catching up on things, and I was just letting you know that I've been really big into like meditation and mindfulness and like,
healing.
Oh yeah, because I told you like how my COVID experience was. My COVID experience was, I know there's got to be more to life than this.
For sure.
You know, like there has to be. There's no way that this is it. And so I got into this whole like understanding the mind and how it works better and how to use it to your advantage. And then you let me know about your process that I had no idea about.
Well, because like even with COVID, what happened was I saw so much like hate and negativity in the world that I was just like, yo, I can't control most of this, but what I can do is give more love. Be more part of the solution, right? So like with that was me stepping out of certain comfortable positions that I was in to give love and to help people grow. And believe it or not, that's how I met John. I went to go speak at a treatment center and tell my story in a place that like during that time, not a lot of people were willing to do that because of everything going on. And I think by doing that and stepping out of those comfort zones, it just opened up so much more avenues of like me bettering myself and like looking into different teachers and stuff. And that's why you were sharing about some of the teachers that you have looked into. And it's like it was cool because of how we met, you know. It was like random, but we were coming from a place of gain, not a place of lack. And those are your words, by the way.
Abundance,
you know.
Yeah, I love that word.
So with that, we just seemed to connect at the same level, at the same place, you know what I mean? Which was cool because it was like to meet somebody else that is like growing in a way during like certain times like this that you can relate with is like kind of hard to find. And for us to just run into, it wasn't a coincidence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do. And I think that that's something you mentioned at the gym too. You were like, COVID went one or two ways for people. They either really lost themselves or they found themselves. Mm-hmm. And like, I could tell you for a fact, I mean, I'm still working on it. I'm always going to be a work in progress. But what I've found so far, like, it's amazing. And what I've learned about myself, not so good. But at least there's an awareness to it and I can work on it now.
Yeah, so I feel like life it's about the journey, not the destination. And we really don't know anything, you know? And with that in tune, we learn so much. Because if we're like, oh, I know this. David, I know. I'm pushing every other possibility of a different perspective or a different view on something. And, you know, certain things that I learn might work for one situation, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for every situation. So by me remaining open-minded to just like, I don't know anything, I in tune learn everything.
And can I just tell you that if you said that to me 2 years ago, I would have been like, okay, like I can't connect with you at all because up my whole life I'm like, I know everything. Like, what do you mean? And I have beliefs and standards and expectations, and I have all these things that are immovable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So thank you for that, because literally 2 years ago I would have been like, this dude's crazy and I'm good and nice seeing you, but see you later.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and like with that too is like we can get into our own ways, and that's a lot of the healing that I've like realized is like my will, David's will. Well, my best thinking got me into some of the worst places. So like you know, it's like whatever you want to call your higher power or whatever source that drives you, you know what I mean? I believe that finding that and seeking that and like making that a prevalent foundation in your life, it will allow you to learn patience and like trust the process. And like with that is like the world is so beautiful, you know what I mean? There's so many things that you can learn each and every day just from like enjoying the moment.
And you have to be willing to do that and be present. And when you've lived your whole life not doing that.
Yeah, dude. That's what the present is. A present. It's a gift.
I like that.
Yeah.
It really is, though.
Yeah, I got it from Kung Fu Panda. Oh, okay. The turtle like hit the panda on
the head. Gem. Yeah. Nice. So I don't think I ever asked you like specifically, like, was there like a moment or like something that happened where you were like, there's got to be more?
Mm-hmm. And the got to be more was God to be more. For real though.
I love that. I love that.
Because where I was in my life, you know, I was part of a 1% motorcycle gang. I was at a point where I wanted to die. Guns were involved, drugs were involved. It was very chaotic. A lot of my friends like were getting locked up. A couple of people I know got shot and died. And, you know, for me is like, I hated who I became. You know what I mean? My whole life was like, conditioned to think that like being a big bad biker and like a drug dealer, it was power, it was like community, you know what I mean? And then I got to that point and that's not anyone who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I saw some of those people and don't get it wrong, like a lot of those people are like still my tight friends today, you know, and people I look up to in certain aspects. But for me, I was the issue, you know what I'm saying? And like it got me to a point where like it was all a facade. You know what I mean? It was all fake.
Inside, what felt not good.
Right. And like with that too, you know, it was like I was just suppressing feelings for so many years, and it came out in like this tough guy. But like I was a tough guy, but I was proving it to myself when I didn't have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there was other people getting in harm's way because of it. You know, I hurt a lot of people. And that's not who I wanted to be in the world, because I understood hurt and pain and loss, you know, throughout my whole life. And when I got to that point in my life where God stepped in, was like, I wanted to die until like I knew there was a better way to live.
So what was like your first like step towards healing? Like after you figured out there needs to be or has to be more?
So for me, I knew that I couldn't do it living the way I was living. So I had to change people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
And what that meant was I was so entwined with everybody in my life. Like I made my problems and my chaos was my life. You know what I mean? So for me to step out of that, I need to put myself in an institution, institutionalize myself for like 30 days into a program. And that's what I did. I put all my stuff in a storage unit and just kind of was like, all right, this is it. We're doing this.
Wow.
I'm ready. You know what I mean?
Good for you.
Yeah. So
that was like the first.
That was the first step. I didn't know what I was going to do from there, but like I was like, I need to get out of the situation
something.
I am in right now.
Yeah,
for sure. Because if not, like the people that were in my life, like, and they were good to me. They loved me. I mean, we were doing things together that were bad, but like either way, they would have been more of an influence for me to do more bad. You know what I mean?
So you had to remove yourself from the environment.
Yeah, misery loves company.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what it is.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like I took myself out of that situation and changed things in my life, and most of those people disappeared. So were they really there for me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, they say like as you go on finding yourself and healing, that you're going to lose people, but you're going to gain people too.
True.
So it's like part of the process.
Yes. So Samantha, what was your turning point in, I remember you telling me about like chronic pain or something like that. What was your turning point in like made you realize like, yo, I have to change my life and the things that I'm doing aren't working?
Right. So I guess hindsight's 2020, right? So I was always an athlete and I fractured my spine when I was 16 and it didn't really become like problematic until I was 25. And I think this goes to like the beliefs side of healing is because the doctors told me that this is it for me. So it was kind of like a death sentence without a death date, essentially, that I'm going to be in pain and there's nothing that they can really do unless I want to do the surgery, which the surgery is not like the golden ticket. So it's like, okay, well, I'll do other modalities in the meantime. And they just weren't working. And now I see that it wasn't that they weren't working, it was I wasn't working. So I had no idea that I wasn't like processing emotions properly, that I was holding a lot of anger and resentment. And so in doing that, I was always in go mode and I was always in this survival state that I had no idea about because that's just all I guess I knew. Yeah, and on top of that, you know what I mean? It was like you were just told that like you're screwed, your back is like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? That fear sets in too. Yeah, so I was like, well, this is not going to stop me. I'm going to ride this till the wheels fall off, and that's exactly what I did. And I just kept going and going and going until, it's funny, I was actually outside of my house going for a walk, and I was not in the best of moods or in the best of feelings, you can say, and I'm stressed out, and then I look out and I see the cemetery and I'm like, wow, this is not going to be my story. Like, this is not nope, because these people didn't have another day and another chance. So I've heard of like, you know, mindfulness and meditation, but I thought that that's just a bunch of I was like, okay, but that's not going to work for me because my back's broken. Like I was, you know, so when I was like this, I don't like how my story is going. I don't like the book that I'm writing. I don't like anything about it. So I'm going to open my mind to everything and anything and see what else is out there. So that's kind of what did it for me. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I know, like excuses are the nails that built the house of failure, right? No, I think that's super important where our stories kind of like simulate, it's like a surrender. It's like surrendering to a different way. Like, teach me. I don't know how to do this. No, that's exactly it. Because I was like, whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it right. So however I've been running this program and running this ship, I give up. Like, there's got to be a different way. There has to be a different way. And now, what was it like that, like sparked you into like looking into different teachers and different things? Like I know it was based off of that, but like, who'd you go for first? Like, how was it? You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was turning. So I literally just typed in the YouTube search, like, healing your body with your mind. That's what I did. Because I didn't know anything. Like, I've heard people do it. Or you hear about people's cancer going away, you know, and all these things. And I figured if somebody could heal from something that was supposed to be terminal, how can I not?
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just like literally YouTubed it and said, how do you heal your body with your mind?
Mm.
And then I just found people who worked for me. But I will tell you that the first time I like clicked on a video, and I think it was Bruce Lipton's,
mm-hmm.
and he's talking, and I clicked it right off, and I was like, that dude's crazy. Like I had such a hard time surrendering. Like I knew I didn't, obviously whatever I was doing wasn't working.
Right.
But I also had a hard time believing that.
Right.
So I ended up falling into finding Joe Dispenza. And Joe Dispenza uses a lot of science to back up what he's saying.
So like hard evidence kind of like to back it. So it's not a bunch of hoo-ha.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And like that's when I started opening my mind to things. And, you know, they talked about processing emotions. And of course I was like, I know how to process my emotions. I know how to do that. And I was like, maybe I don't. So I typed it into YouTube and I watched these like tutorials, you could say. It's a YouTube channel called Therapy in a Nutshell. And it's a 30 video series on processing your emotions. And after watching the first one, I was like, so I've been doing it wrong. So I don't know how to do this. And I just had to like I just relearned everything.
Right.
And unlearned a lot.
Right. And it's funny because it's just like our stories are very similar in that it's like, you know, it's like all these things that we believed for so long. And like, that's the premises of like both of our healing in the path of like what I like, it's just such a skewed vision that was put onto us, whether it's by our parents, society, or whatever, but we take on these beliefs from other people. And it's not our belief to take on.
Yeah.
It's not our lesson that we learned, but by us taking it on, we fall into that category. And so like what I've realized by like rewriting certain things and certain lessons, which is me rewriting these beliefs that were never meant for me, but it's also in tune to like, okay, like these lessons that I'm learning, what can I benefit from this? What can I take from this? And what can I leave behind? Who would you be without this thought? And it's like, some of those thoughts are really negative and they're heavy. And then as soon as I read that, who would you be without this thought? It's like, it's like a weight has been lifted. And it's just like, wow, that's a simple shift of the mind.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Come back every Friday at 3 o'clock for new weekly episodes. If you want to get in contact us, you can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Samantha.Valley.
I'm at DMND David.
And we'll see you next Friday.